Good evening, everyone, particularly to the students of Aptech Aviation and to the students of LACME Academy. A warm welcome to all of you on behalf of Aptech Limited. I hope you had a great and extended long weekend and you had a lot of fun and you celebrated India's 74th Independence Day with aplomb. So today we have continuing with our masterclass series and we have a wonderful speaker with us and her name is Rachna. Rachna is a PhD, holistic nutrition certified nutritional therapist and holistic cancer coach, WHO certified in malnutrition. She has her own practice for holistic cancer and lifestyle diseases across 27 countries under Rachna Restores and her own professional holistic health coach certification program, which certifies practicing health experts in enhancing their practice by holistic healing. So Rachna, as you see, has got a very exemplary profile, and she is the most appropriate person to talk about this issue of why about health. I think going forward in contemporary times, health is going to be a key skill or a key variable in organization, just like leadership skills, sales skills, emotional intelligence, teamwork. Health is also going to be a key skill. I mean, in the sense, first of all, we have medicals. I know that all of us go through a medical before we are appointed and given the appointment letter. But I think this, in my own sense, from my own vantage point, I think medical exams will be more stringent. Organizational will look at your BMI. They will look at your cardiovascular strength. They will look at your resting heart rate before certifying you and expediting your appointment letter. Because if you are not strong physically, I don't think you can do any demanding work, whether it is in life or in work. So, Rachna, first of all, let me thank you on behalf of Aptech Limited for very warmly reciprocating our invitation to talk to our students. Our students, as you see, are in the age group of 18 to 24 years. So we have two or three set of students out here. One, students who are pursuing their course from LACME, Hindustan Liver brand, which is basically into grooming and wellness and things like that. And we have one more category of students who are wanting to pursue a career with the aviation industry or tourism, hotel, retail industry. And these sort of students are basically standing at the cusp of building a career for themselves. And what is happening around them is not something which any one of us has witnessed in human civilization in the last 100 years. So most of us do not know how to grapple with this problem, and we're looking at comfort from each other. So I think this session today from your side on health and why health is wealth and health and nutrition, though we have done a few of them before, but I think what you are going to talk about is going to be much different. So first of all, welcome you on behalf of Aptech Limited, and the stage is now all yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shajan, first of all, for this opportunity to speak to this age group. I must admit that this is one of my favorite age groups to address because the Gen Z is much more sorted out than our generation or generations younger or older than us. Because they understand their priorities not just from a perspective of their life goals, but also from a perspective of acknowledging if there is something going wrong, something that the older generations never used to do or used to feel some kind of apprehension in acknowledging. So 18 to 23 is actually creating, from whatever consultations I do, and I do consultations across the world, this age group is actually changing the world order in a lot of ways. And with the COVID situation teaching us many lessons about sustainability and good health, and the planet of the health of the planet being connected to the health of the individual is best understood by this age group of people. So thank you again for this. I loved what you said about how the corporate world is going to change about bringing about the parameters being as strong as any other parameters for evaluation. I work with a lot of corporates. I must admit that it always emanates from the leader. So at Aptech, they have someone like you and we got in touch because I followed you on Twitter, and your entire lifestyle is very, very inspiring. So if the leader of the organization or the top management of the organization actually follows a healthy lifestyle and is an inspirational example, it's the same as when you have small children. Small children will not do as you say, they will do as you do. Similarly, in organizations, young people will not do as you say. You can give them as many plans to stay healthy, but if the leader is walking the talk, then those people are also going to become more conscious.
Okay, so thank you for that opening remark, Prashna, and we will now deep dive into some very pertinent questions, which is a boiling topic as far as youngsters are concerned. So my first question to you is, what are some of the health problems faced by the students? What are some of the health issues faced by organizations today, and why? And yeah, so what are the first question is, what are the burning issues faced by youngsters today?
So, one of the biggest issues faced is an emotional state of unrest, which is leading to a lot of physical health issues. People do not see the connection very often with emotional unrest, emotional insecurities leading to physical health issues and advent of diseases. And the younger population is a lot more anxious, a lot more stressed because it feels a lot more responsible. There are also there are multiple choices that they have, and in the presence of these choices, it becomes confusing for them on which path to take, whether it's in their personal lives or professional lives. I am seeing a huge surge in younger people coming to me with anxiety, depression. Then the physical manifestations of that are a compromised gut, which is your acidity, constipation, acid reflux, which they are not connecting, headaches. These are all manifestations of an anxious prone person, and just fixing the lifestyle with certain healthy nutritive habits is 50% of the battle. One, in terms of the symptoms. The other 50% is actually acknowledging that there is stress and talking to someone about it. It may be your buddy, it may be a sibling, it may be a family member, or it may be a counselor that you reach out to. Is absolutely fine and will really benefit you. If you want to have a sounding board of problems, if you don't want to do any of that and you want to get into journaling or you want to write a blog, any which way, just like in a cough and cold, when there is mucus in the chest which is stuck, it can get into disease. When you have emotions full inside your heart, it can turn into physical disease. There are physical diseases like heart disease, like hypertension, like type 2 diabetes that have been triggered because of emotional stress. That's the biggest problem being faced. A large part of this trigger is because of lack of adequate sleep. Now, if people are not getting, and younger people are not getting adequate sleep because their screen time is increasing drastically. So if they are not sleeping 8 to 9 hours, which is the sleep foundation, there is a National Sleep Foundation which has recommendations of 8 to 9 hours of sleep for individuals based on thousands of research of what lack of sleep does to healthy individuals. Lack of sleep will increase hunger cravings, hence make you eat sugary foods, hence make you gain weight, increase the risk of type 2 diabetes. Lack of sleep also increases blood pressure. It increases inflammation markers in the blood. When the inflammation markers in the blood increase, then your body and mind are welcoming diseases, including cancer. So these are the two issues. If the audience here can understand the connection of these two issues with physical manifestations of disease and then the blood reports showing the disease, then they would have actually won the war against low immunity and disease triggers.
Yeah, so thank you, Rachna, for enlightening and hard-nosing the brass facts that today's youngsters are spending and devoting a lot of time on the screen, and it is very difficult for them to isolate and
Yes,
spend some time with themselves. And
yes,
technology has done a lot of great things, but it has also pervaded our personal life to an extent. We stay in family and we are not even able to have a decent conversation. So
yes.
all our students who are listening to you in from different parts of the world will make a very fast transition into the corporate life, 6 months or so, and most of them are anxious to understand from you because this work is going to be for 8 to 10 hours in a day, and which will leave them very little time to take care of their physical activity. So, what do you suggest? 4 or 5 things a professional should do to ensure that their health is intact?
So first of all, if the workload is only going to be restricted to 8 to 10 hours a day, then all of you are extremely lucky. Because today I'm coming across people due to the boundaries of work and home completely being diminished. People are working for 15 hours a day, not able to get up from their screens. And I'm talking about all levels of management, from top management to middle to junior management. Everybody has that pressure. If you can actually restrict and compartmentalize your work, that is the first step. I know it is difficult to do when you're stepping into the world and you're eager to please either your boss or eager to grow your business, whichever it may be. But remember that if you do not look after yourself and compartmentalize, the same dream, the same success, and the same job that you want to be successful over is going to collapse if your health is not going to permit. Organizations are fairly brutal if your capacity to work is low. So please remember that you are one individual, and your response to stress can actually be changed. You know, stress is not going to go away. What is the quality or hallmark of a good leader is that their response to stress is calm. They don't get angry. They don't get frazzled. Uh, just before we started this session, it took me about 15 minutes to connect because I had low connectivity, and Shajan and I were just calmly working things out. It's a very small example where I'm giving that whatever the situation, getting stressed is not going to help any situation. Changing your response to stress comes from three things: physical nutrition, emotional nutrition, adequate sleep. Physical nutrition is what you put inside your body, which means nutritious vegetables, fruits. Very, very important. It's very easy for you to reach out for a sandwich for lunch and skip breakfast and not bother about your vegetables, because this is the time that you want to give yourself for your work and not waste time in making vegetables. But remember, making vegetables and eating them is an investment. It's an investment at your brain working sharper. So the same job that you will be taking 6 hours to do, you can do in 4 hours, and you can become more efficient and get well known for becoming more efficient as a person, because you are feeding yourself right for the brain to get nutrients. The second thing is emotional nutrition. Now, emotional nutrition is deep breathing exercises and moderate exercise, moderate physical exercise. Why do they come in the category of emotional nutrition? Is because they calm the response to stress. So when you are at work in a stressed out situation and all your colleagues around you are saying, oh God, what's going to happen? This is not working, that is not happening. You will have a superior efficient brain which will focus on looking for solutions rather than fretting about a problem. And you will come up and talk about a solution to your management, and then they will start noticing your uniqueness. This can only happen if you're nurturing yourself with the physical nutrition and emotional nutrition. Moderate exercise on a daily basis actually reduces, not just reduces response to stress, but also releases the stress from the lymph nodes. Please remember that the lymph nodes control our immune system. Today, in the COVID situation that we are in, we need to protect our immune system. And the immune system can be protected by us eating anti-inflammatory foods, which is in the form of vegetables and fruits, and also by protecting our lymph nodes from not getting inflamed. Now, when our lymph nodes are not getting inflamed, your risk of catching COVID from a carrier who may be asymptomatic becomes low. Why do some people get it and some people don't get it? Is because some people's immune system is better protected. And it is not just that when you get COVID and you are positive and then you get okay, you get fine. No, we are getting a lot of complications of cases coming up after you have got COVID, which are going to spoil your health further. So it is better to prevent it by protecting your immune system and following the norms of hygiene, sanitation, and everything, rather than getting it and overcoming it. Because up to 18 months after you have got a virus like COVID, there are going to be symptoms of pain, congestion, other complications, breathlessness, everything. Those don't go away. So please remember that your health and your investment and time in your health is like an insurance policy. It is going to pay you at all times. The third thing that I spoke about is sleep. A rested mind is always going to be calm and better at decision making. So in the corporate world, whatever job that you have, if you are rested, then again your efficiency goes up, your stress levels will come down, your response to stress will come down. You will soon start being seen as a team manager who can manage people well, because you will be empathetic and you will be able to help people grow. And that is how you rise in the corporate management scenario.
Yeah, I think you have made some very reasonable points, particularly the last one about sleep and how sleep. I think everybody should read this book. Why Do I Sleep by Walker. Is a fantastic book, and it deep dives into the ocean of unraveling many myths surrounding sleep. Whereas people say that, in corporate life, if you sleep less, people will appreciate. somebody say ये लोग सोता भी नहीं है, इतना मेहनती है कि बिना खाए पिए बिना सोए खाए पिए मेहनत कर रहे हैं, इसका ईमानदारी को देखो. And there's a little bit of machoism to it, right? But I think that it's okay to have 1 or 2 glasses of alcohol, but having no sleep is detrimental to one's cause, and it has got long-term repercussions. So one
Shahid,
important, yeah,
I would
carry
just
on.
Yeah, I'll just say one thing. You said ये सोता भी नहीं है. If you remember that there is that ad for a soap where this guy is the child is washing his hands for a very long time, and another child asks him, "तेरा साबुन slow है क्या?" Now, if somebody comes to me and says, "I work 15 hours a day and my work doesn't get over," my whole submission is, "तुम्हारा brain slow है क्या?" Because the brain will
Absolutely,
be slow
absolutely.
if there is lack of sleep and lack of nutrients for the brain.
I think this is a very, very interesting point, and we can go on talking about it. I think the people don't understand that the brain and the body are connected, and it is absolutely interlinked, and it has got a cascading effect. So
Yes.
one more question I want to ask you. I know that a person who looks smart and has a physically more fitter has a better chance in cracking a job interview. Okay. So, but the larger point is that is success interlinked? Success is success is physical activity a derivative of success, or vice versa? Do you think it is important to be physically fit to be successful?
Absolutely. When you are physically fit, what happens? Your alertness levels are high. The person sitting in front of you who is interviewing you, that is your first point of contact, is going to look at your alertness levels. So you may be still wearing average clothes, you may be still okay turned out in terms of packaging, but what is showing on your face in terms of curiosity, alertness levels, and eagerness, those things cannot be replaced. Those things cannot be also faked. So that eagerness will not continue to keep coming if you are genuinely not a curious person who is physically and mentally balanced. And the brain controls the body. So for all the people who say, "Oh God, it's too much effort to do physical activity," if you map your brain by deep breathing exercises, sleeping better, your brain is going to help your body overcome any restrictions to doing any physical exercise. Why are there those miraculous stories of people who were given up by medical science and doctors overcoming their disease and becoming fine? It's simply because the willpower is part of your brain strength. They said, I'm not going to, I have to find solutions. They found the solutions. Now, this kind of brain mapping requires nourishment. Nourishment in the absence of sleep. I'll give a very simple example of what absence of sleep does. You know, we talk about diseases coming because of accelerated aging. Type 2 diabetes used to be late onset stage diabetes in the early 70s. It is supposed to be something that you're supposed to get at the age of 60, 65 onwards because it's an aging person's disease. Now, when a 22-year-old comes to me with PCOS and type 2 diabetes, and you know, I don't know your gender breakup, but almost every woman that in this age group that is coming to me has hormonal issues, either hypothyroidism or PCOS or other hormonal fluctuations like hair fall, acne. Yeah.
Carry on, carry on.
Yeah. So these kind of issues are there because of lack of sleep. And what does lack of sleep do? So the human body and mind is supposed to be sleeping for 8 hours every day to repair the damage of the entire day and get rejuvenated and wake up the next day. So you sleep for 6 hours, 2 hours deficit every day. Then at the end of the week, you've got a 12-hour deficit before you say, okay, I'm going to sleep the entire day on a Sunday. Now, this deficit accelerates your aging process by increasing inflammation inside the body. And that is how diseases take root. So do not get into accelerated aging. You people are very young. At this age, this is your time that you know, instead of saying, oh, it's for 40-year-olds that they'll get hypertension or they will get diabetes. No, we are all, I have 125 coaches across 27 countries. We are all getting young people who are coming to us with hormonal issues, with type 2 diabetes, with obesity, which is the biggest trigger for cancer. There are a lot of young people with cancer, lifestyle cancers. Lifestyle cancer means that it was because of your lifestyle and it could have been avoided. And it can also be cured. But why go through that whole process of it? So if you just sleep enough, and there are tools that you know I can share right now that will help you sleep enough and help you sleep soundly so that you can reduce your aging and have an alert mind.
Yeah, I think a very valid point. I like that. I just wanted to elaborate more about this brain mapping and this power you spoke about. I'm just reading this book by Lance Armstrong. This is autobiography. I don't know whether you read this or not. It's not about the bike. And Lance Armstrong, at the age of 25 years, was detected with the 4-stage testicular cancer, and the doctors gave him only 40% chance to survive. Okay, not only did he survive that, he went on to win 7 more times the Tour de France and become the greatest biker in the world, one of the legends. So the brain has got a very strong connection with the body. So if you're not taking care of your body over time, your brain also starts deteriorating. Your decisions will be insipid. You will be slow to react, and your energies will dip, and this will lead to suboptimal performance. So especially for youngsters who are living in a world which is full of comfort. I mean, during our times, we used to walk, and there was so much of physical activities because of lack of choices. And today we are an abundance of choice. So it's highly debatable whether these choices in life is good or bad, and of course everybody has a point of view, but I think it's important for yeah, everybody, youngsters, and this is age agnostic, to ensure that 45 minutes of the time is spent in some sort of physical activity. I have seen kids, people going to the gym, and then out of the gym they will start taking the lift, and they'll go to a McDonald's and have a burger and a Coca-Cola. So what is the point in going to the gym? So
No, even
yeah.
in the gym, Shajan, when you are looking at your inflammation levels are already high. You know, we're not talking about an amazingly fit person like you who on a daily basis looks after their health. When a young person goes to the gym and already has internal inflammation which is undiagnosed, and then gets into heavy weights and gym exercises, that causes oxidative stress. This oxidative stress is detrimental to their health in any case. So they are thinking that they are being healthy by going to the gym, but they need to start with moderate exercise, reduce their inflammation levels, get into a state of fitness and health, and then they can start going to the gym and doing, if they want to get Salman Khan body or whatever they want to get. There's no problem about that. But there is a step-by-step process, and that's a sequential process.
See, I think the points you're making are very valid and very scientific. I mean, it's so scientific that I don't think we are looking at everything from a very superficial level. And the sad part is that we don't understand our bodies at all. I mean, if I ask somebody, what does your gallbladder do? Most youngsters will not be able to answer. Or what does your pancreas do? What is very small intestine in your body? They will not be able to locate. But if I ask them, can you tell me where is the brake of a vehicle? They will be able to tell you, but they will not be able to tell you where is a small intestine. And there's nothing wrong. I mean, saying that's how we have been programmed. We have been hardwired and conditioned to think, that to believe that society accepts you only if you have a BMW car and if you have a tall building and lots of money in the bank. And so, because of more and more comfort and more luxury we are living in, we have completely ignored our physical activity. In fact, with nothing we do, we just, in olden times, people used to go to the commode, and that is now the good word called as squats. Now people don't have commode anymore, so there's no need to squat now. So you just see how luxury has taken complete precedence over one's life. So I think it's very interesting all points you have made, Rachana. If you want to add some more points, you can. And in the interim, I'm also awaiting some questions from the students. We have 130 odd students, and I'm sure all of them have some doubt or the other.
Sure.
Rachana is a very distinguished speaker with a very good body of work, and she has very good vast knowledge on this subject. So I would encourage all the students to please ask your questions on the chat box, type your questions, and I will selectively pick up the questions and ask her. So in the meantime, till the time the students type the questions, you have anything more to add on this?
Yes, so a lot of the people will find falling off to sleep difficult when they are not used to sleeping and they have all these screens around them. So I want to give some tips to these youngsters. Some of them fall asleep and then they wake up in 3 hours time because their mind and brain are still agitated and alive and active. And you need to calm that down in order to get that 8 hours of sleep. So please, I'm sure you guys have all read about the fact that the gadgets should be, retired by about 8 p.m. and keep them aside. Just before you sleep, a hot cup of chamomile tea with some raw organic honey will pacify your stomach, digestive system. No, Shajan, what you said about people don't know about their anatomy, it is not their fault. It is because we have all been brought up to think that that's the doctor's job. Unfortunately, anybody who gives the literally hands over their fate to another person, whether it is a doctor or somebody like me, is saying that I have no responsibility for my health. Each one of you is responsible for your own health, and hence, Shajan is not a doctor, but he knows the anatomy. There are a lot of young people like you out there who know that, who come and who challenge me for the kind of work I do, and I love that because at least they are making the effort of understanding what works for them and what doesn't work for them. So please find out what your gut does for you. Your gut is your immune system. It's if your gut is healthy, pacified, then you're going to absorb nutrients much better. Then you're going to sleep much better. So at night, before sleeping, have a hot cup of chamomile tea. Chamomile leaves are the ones that bring about a certain calmness and drowsiness to you and help you sleep better. They also pacify the gut and start repairing it in people. This is specifically also for the young women out there because young women are really struggling with sleep. There are a lot of young men who come to me with, pimple, acne problems, baldness at the age of 22, 23. These are all issues linked to malnutrition. So you've got to make sure that you take your nutrition in the form of vegetables. There is no shortcut, absolutely no shortcut to nutrition and sleep. So at night, just sit with yourself with that cup of chamomile tea, listen to some soothing music, and do some deep breathing. You'll start calming down. When you start listening to music, you can focus on the lyrics. The lyrics are going to help you omit all the day's stress and whatever is left to be done as your work. Please remember that you not finishing work is not going to be the end of the world the next morning. Don't give it that kind of importance. But you not sleeping every day properly can be the end of your career or job because you will have a compromised output in terms of efficiency.
Seems Japanese, well-known Japanese author Uraki Murakami said that, if you do not, if your physical baseline is not strong, you will not be able to do any demanding or challenging work in life. And I so much cognizant about that because of my own personal experience. I mean, physical transformation it completely overhauls you as a person. It gives you you start seeing with a different pair of eyes. So I think your points are very good and you're articulating the thoughts very well, Rachna. We have a question from Adarsh, is talking about a situation where people have to work in night shifts. And it is quite possible in our sort of industry, particularly in aviation industry, there will be chances where they will have to work in the night shift. And that point of time, they will not be able to sleep in the night. So what, in such a situation, what should they do?
So first of all, if you are on a night shift, then you are getting the day off, and instead of sleeping for only 4 or 5 hours during the day, you should utilize that and flip it as your night. I understand that a night shift will always spoil your circadian rhythm, but if you don't have any choice, when you come back from work at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. or whatever that time is, always think it is night somewhere in some part of the world. So in your mind also it can be night. Take thick curtains, close your blinds, make your bedroom very, very dark so that you get the feeling of the night. Please keep your phone and laptop outside. And again, like I said, at that time, if 10 a.m. is your night starting, your chamomile tea with honey should happen then. You should not eat for 3 hours before sleeping. So the last meal that you have before you hit your bed, whether it is dinner or breakfast or whatever that meal is, should be 3 hours before you hit the bed so that you can get a better night's sleep. There are people in a night shift who are able to sleep for 8 hours and perform well, and ultimately, when they reach middle management, they become so well noticed as efficient employees that the organization gives them the choice of the shift, and that is, you are working towards that choice of shift to have a day job. How do you do that? By making sure that your brain is efficient enough by sleeping whatever time your organization is giving you. Your organization is giving you the time. So you utilize that time and self nurture that time so that your brain is sharp when you reach work, and you can utilize those hours in working more efficiently than other people.
See, we have a very, very interesting question from Isha Mala, and I'm very glad that she has asked this question very candidly to you. So there is a lot of mental pressure which is happening in today's contemporary times, and
Yes.
she is asking that how does a balanced diet help in overcoming mental anxiety?
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. Yes, very, very relevant question. If your brain does not get the nourishment of nutrients, it is going to be agitated. It is going to be inflamed. Decision making is going to be poor. So, 70 to 80% of your anxiety can be reduced if you're having as your meal. Now, this is the construct of your meal. 50% should be vegetables, and then you should be having some good raw fat with it. Flaxseed oil, extra virgin olive oil, nuts and seeds. All three have good fat in it. For people who are non-vegetarian, eggs with yellow, and because the yellow is good fat, and oily fish, which is mackerel, sardines, tuna, ravas. These are all easily available in herring, trout, whether you're in Bangalore or Bombay or any other parts of India. Even in the north, herring and trout come in from Manali. Across the world, these are available. You must incorporate them, but your plate has to be 50% vegetables, and then the other 50% should be a mix of carbohydrates and protein. So a lot of people do they will have more carbohydrates and protein, and their vegetable quantity will be this much. The moment you have this mix, your brain is getting the nutrients to calm itself down. So it is your physical food that you are eating, but it is your mental makeup that it's getting affected. Please remember, each thought of yours has a physical manifestation to the human body. I'll give you one very straightforward example. For those of you who love their hot chocolate fudge or gooey chocolate, if you are a little hungry and you imagine it waiting for you in the refrigerator, what happens? Your mouth starts watering, your stomach starts grumbling. It was a thought, but it is creating a physical reaction inside you, which means every thought of yours not only has a physical reaction, but every physical input has a reaction in your brain. We are not a car, we are not body parts. Everything is connected. That is why you are holistic as a person. If you put inside junk, you will become a junky person with low thought process. Junk food has been linked to depression. It has been linked to slow aging, slow thought process in even children and adults. It has also been linked to stomach cancers. So please do not negate the power of something physical going into your body and actually improving your mental powers and reducing anxiety levels. Because the moment you give the right nutrients, the agitation of the brain will die out and your anxiety levels will come down. Specifically for women, I would say this very strongly, Isha, that your hormones are going to cause anxiety if you eat foods that are going to fluctuate your hormones. Foods that fluctuate your hormones are milk and milk products, wheat, white flour, and less number of vegetables, and excessive exercise. These are all will agitate your hormones. When you do moderate exercise, moderate, regular, consistent exercise, have your vegetables, have the good fats, which will also pacify your hormones. Primrose oil, omega-3 fish oil have been clinically proven to be more effective than antidepressants in people with anxiety. So that is the power of good fat, good unsaturated fat. Don't look at it the same way with saturated fat. Saturated fat is your coconut oil and ghee and butter. They do not have the same power. They are wonderful for health, for healthy people to stay healthy. They are wonderful for health, for growing children who are in the brain development stage, not for you. After the age of 18, the human body does not need milk and milk products. And in women, it's creating havoc with the hormones and is increasing the risk of hormonal cancers. What happens when your hormones are out of whack? We all know that we get into moodiness, we get into anxiety, we get into depressive tendencies. It's all linked. So please use the power of something as simple as more vegetables.
I think Isha, Rachna has clearly mentioned to you that a balanced diet definitely helps in overcoming mental anxiety. There is one very interesting question about Richa, who is asking that how to improve eyesight. Okay, and there is also one follow-up question. There are two questions. I'm asking both of them together. Is there any way to improve eyesight through any particular diet? And there's Rachna is asking that can it shed some light on sleep and vertigo, sleep apnea and
Sleep
vertigo,
apnea. Yeah,
sleep
yeah, okay.
apnea
Yeah,
and
okay.
vertigo.
Richa, first of all, you have to find out is your eyesight going because of bad habits, or is it going because you are feeling it is going because of eye dryness due to too much screen time? Very often what happens is that we spend so much time on the screen that our eyes get tired and then we don't sleep enough, so the eyes do not get rest from the tiredness that they have to recover. Um, what you can do for this is find out the reason. If it is actually dry eyes, then there are over-the-counter drops that are available to lubricate the eyes. Rest your eyes. Rest your eyes. Every 1 hour, just rest your eyes for about 5 minutes, maybe with something cold on them. Very, very important. There is a yoga exercise known as Tratak, which is basically, keeping a pencil or a pen and staring at it till the water runs down. That is a very cleansing mechanism for the eyes. So when those tears come down, that actually starts cleansing the eyes. And finally, if your screen time is to blame, please get Blu-ray and reduce your screen time. Check your diet for vitamin A. Vitamin A is there in carrots, but it does not get absorbed if you have carrot juice or raw carrot, because vitamin A is oil soluble. So you need to have the presence of some oil for the vitamin A and beta carotene to get absorbed. So when you are having carrots, have them cooked as a vegetable, lightly stir fried as a vegetable and crunchy. If you are having carrot juice, then you must put 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil in them to increase the absorption of that, and it's wonderful for the eyes. The other thing that's wonderful for the eyes is omega-3, which is there in extra virgin olive oil. That is why I'm saying this combination is extremely potent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rachna's question on vertigo and
Sleep apnea. Yeah. So
yes.
sleep, I'll address sleep apnea first. Sleep apnea is basically snoring and then your entire this area getting blocked. Is the 90% of sleep apnea cases are linked to poor physical habits and either obesity or presence of bad fat in the body. So check your blood levels for high cholesterol, triglycerides. Um, check your diet. If you are you having too many carbohydrates, are you having too many foods that are causing phlegm, then this entire portion will get blocked. So you need to have a 3-step process for sleep apnea. You first need to detox. You need to reduce all the toxins, whether these are physical toxins in the form of food that you have been consuming or some jammed up stuff over here, which is causing the actual sleep apnea. Uh, uh, a detox diet necessarily has no gluten, no dairy, more vegetables, more brown rice, quinoa. So go for about 2 weeks on that. Half your sleep apnea will start dying out. Start steaming, because if there is anything clogged due to the sinuses which is causing sleep apnea, it will start coming out. Uh, uh, then if you have high cholesterol or triglycerides, then you must go to a nutrition expert to get proper treatment for that. If there is obesity, then you must lose weight, because sleep apnea is fairly common in people with who are overweight. Regarding vertigo, vertigo has physical and emotional reasons both. The physical reason is that you have a compressed disc over here, which can cause vertigo. So go get an X-ray done. Find out, is the cause, just spondylitis, because you're sitting for too long and you're not, moving it, and the muscles around here are in a state of spasm when you're sitting for too long. So your discs over here get into a spasm stage as well, compressing certain nerves which go up to your brain and then causing vertigo. So find out what the cause of the vertigo is. The other cause of vertigo actually is anxiety. A lot of women who come to me with with hormonal fluctuations have anxiety, and one of the symptoms is vertigo. So when we correct the underlying causes, and I will not talk about suppression. I will not say take a pill. I will always go to the root cause and say eliminate the root cause, because any pill that you take is also going to have side effects. It's also going to strip your stomach lining, your digestive system. So become mentally strong, like Shajan said, like I said earlier. Your mind, your brain, mind will, remember, is not an organ. Mind is your willpower. Your mind is strong enough to say, I'm not going to shortchange myself and take shortcuts. Let me go to the root cause. Let me take adequate help, maybe with one consult or my proper research. There's enough data available online now, and get the correct diagnosis. The moment I know my underlying cause, there is help available. Go seek that help and get fine rather than looking for shortcuts.
I think it was a very overwhelming session, Rachna, and you have made some deeply insightful points and lot of things for all of us to ponder about. I think our health is in our hands. I always keep telling that the investment in health will give you guaranteed returns, not in mutual funds. So I think it's time now people start taking their health as seriously as eating food. So thank you very much for this session. It was really fun to listen to your point of view, and I'm sure that all our students attending the session have thoroughly enjoyed. And it was great to hosting you.
Yeah, thank you, Shajan. I would just like to make a closing remark to everyone who thinks I'm just that this is what I do and have been doing. I used to be in the corporate sector. I used to head business development for a large financial services company when I was struck by an incurable disease called rheumatoid arthritis. I was young, and this is a young person's disease, and doctors have no cure for it. So my corporate career came down in a span like that, and it wasn't like I wasn't healthy or I wasn't following what you normally would call healthy habits and things like that. So I understand when you are talking about saying that how can I do this and how can I prioritize my health. Don't reach the situation that I reached. My pain levels at that time when I had my disease were so high that I could not move. But when your mind is strong, don't reach that stage. Thankfully, God gave me strength and my mind was strong. And I said, I'm not going to live like this. I was on chemotherapy drugs. I refused to take them. Don't reach that situation. Your health is truly in your hands, and you can avoid reaching that situation by following what Shajan and I discussed here.
There is one. I think I'm sure you will have time for one last question. It's a very interesting question. So Ekta is asking, "I ma'am, my question is this is a very easy one for you. My question is how to overcome from skinny body,
How to overcome skinny body?
how to become
Uh,
fat in maybe."
no, not fat. How to increase muscle mass?
Okay.
Yeah. So Ekta, you can so again the whether you are overweight or underweight, both are not balanced. They both come with their set of health issues. Go back to the causes. Why do you think it is? Why do you think you are underweight? Are you malnutrition? Are you not eating well? Do you have a poor appetite? Are you not doing moderate exercise, which can increase your appetite, make you sleep better, and increase your muscle mass? If the answer to all this is yes, you yourself have the answer with you. Also check when you were last dewormed. Worms in the body will eat everything that you eat, and they will not let you put on weight. Check for hyperthyroidism. Hypothyroidism makes people gain weight. Hyperthyroidism makes people lose excessive weight, even if they eat a lot, and can actually cause damage to the heart. So check all these factors. There has to be a connection between you not being balanced, you not being your ideal body weight. Ideal body weight will always come when you are eating, generally eating right, and generally exercising and generally sleeping well. Most people are in their weight range 3-4 kilos here or there. But the moment there are any aberrations that come, sometimes in your childhood if some person is been unwell for too long, there is inherent malnutrition that becomes a deficit and hasn't been plugged. So then you're unable, their muscle mass keeps growing lesser and lesser. So please check these underlying factors. And this, I mean, if Ekta is part of this age group, these kids are so smart. They will understand and they will immediately be able to identify what their causes are. The moment you identify the cause, eating right, sleeping well, moderate exercise, you will see that you will actually gain weight. Do yoga. Yoga is the best form of exercise to get your muscle mass back if you are actually malnutrition. It slowly, gently rebuilds you. Have your vegetables, do yoga, have lots of nuts and seeds, not cashew nuts, those are saturated fat. Have almonds, pistachios, chia seeds. These will help you raise your hemoglobin, they will reduce hormonal fluctuations, and they will increase your muscle mass because this is the purest form of vegan protein available with good fat as a combination.
So I think one more question is that, which is also very interesting. It's from Deepak, and Deepak is asking, "Ma'am, if I have to start running in the morning for losing weight, then do I have to change my daily diet?"
Of course, first of all, if you're going to start running, there is a month's preparation that you'll have to do before you actually start running. Because if you start running suddenly, you're going to get into some kind of a physical injury and be laid up for 2 weeks. So do it systematically, just like we go from school to college and then college to vocational training and then to work. There is a reason that there is a ladder system that is created. So even the human mind and body respond to sequential process for preparation. 1 month before you start running, and you can set that time today, saying that on 17th September I will start running. You have to start letting go of foods and things that are going to slow you down, which means that you'll have to first reduce your carbohydrate levels. So your carbohydrate quantity in your food has to reduce drastically, and the vegetables have to increase. Whatever vegetables that you like, have two different kinds of vegetables. Have a cup of soup and a vegetable with, 1 or 2 rotis or this much rice. Rice is not bad at all. It is the quantities of rice and how we eat them that's the problem. So start changing that and start going for a walk. Your endurance needs to build, so start doing some stretching exercises. And I think that Shazin will tell you much better than me because he is a runner, on how to step by step build up your endurance so that September 17th you can start doing slow jogging. Make sure you get the right shoes if you are going to run on the road, because your knees can get damaged, otherwise your ankles can get damaged. So there are shoes for running on metal which have good cushioning, which are required. These are the preparations that you have to make for this 1 month before you actually go towards your dream of wanting to start running. By that time you would have already lost 5-6 kilos in just this preparation time.
So I have already typed in Rachna's Twitter handle to everybody. Its Twitter handle is @the Rachna Restores. You can find her. She's quite active over there. And due to paucity of time, we will have to curtail the session. But I'm sure once you go to Twitter, you can follow her and you can directly interact with her over there, and she will be more than happy to help all of you. I think this session was quite enlightening, and there were a lot of questions from students, and thank you, Rachna, for being patiently answering all these questions, and we look forward to some more sessions going forward in the future. And thank you once again on behalf of Aptech Limited to come here and talk to our students and address their queries. Thanks a lot, and thank you, students, for wholeheartedly participating.
Thank you everyone for putting up with my bluntness, but it is in your interest for me not to mince words so that you can get the correct direction. Stay well, stay safe.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.